What really happened behind the scenes when Jin and J-Hope of BTS reunited with Jimmy Fallon? Why is the host of The Tonight Show suddenly tearing up in recent interviews? And what's the real story behind the laughter echoing from NBC Studio 6B long after the cameras stopped rolling? When Jin and J-Hope, two of BTS's most dynamic and beloved members, made a surprise appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon earlier this month, fans around the world erupted in celebration. But what most viewers didn't see was what happened off-camera, a deeply emotional, unscripted reunion that left a lasting impression not only on the crew, but on Fallon himself. In an exclusive behind-the-scenes segment released by NBC, Jimmy Fallon opens up about the touching, chaotic, and incredibly human experience of working with Jin and J-Hope after their military service hiatus. And the revelations might surprise even the most devoted army. There was this one moment with Jin, Fallon began, voice cracking slightly. We were just hanging out backstage, no script, no pressure. And out of nowhere, he looked at me and said, "It feels like I never left." That hit me harder than I expected. According to crew members present during the taping, Jin had arrived early, a rare occurrence in the tight BTS schedule, simply to greet every member of the production team. He remembered names, one staffer said. People he'd met once 3 years ago. That's the kind of guy he is. But it wasn't just emotional reunions that colored the day. J-Hope, ever the mood maker, reportedly brought the energy of an entire boy band by himself. From impromptu dance battles in the green room to photobombing interviews with his signature giggle, Hobie was on fire, as Fallon put it. He turned the hallway into a runway. Jimmy laughed. He was wearing this insane patchwork jacket, straight out of Tokyo street fashion, and everyone stopped what they were doing just to film him dancing through the corridors. Yet behind the humor and high energy, Jimmy shared a quieter, more reflective side of their visit. After the show wrapped, Fallon invited Jin and J-Hope to a private conversation in his dressing room, a moment not captured on camera. There, away from the spotlights and adoring fans, the three men spoke candidly about life after military service, growing older in the public eye, and the weight of global expectations. Jin said something that stayed with me, Jimmy recalled. He said, "It's harder to be sincere when the world is watching everything you do. But sincerity is the only thing I have left to give." That was wow. You don't forget something like that. The moment became even more poignant when J-Hope, known for his bright personality, grew quiet. He reportedly opened up about the pressure he felt representing not just BTS, but South Korea, while trying to rediscover his individual identity as an artist post-military. He said he sometimes feels like a shadow version of himself. Jimmy said, visibly emotional. Like people only see the stage version of Hobie, not the person beneath. It was so raw, so vulnerable. We just sat there, talking like old friends. Since the episode aired, fans have been calling for more content, including full behind-the-scenes footage, using hashtags like #JinJHopeFallon and #TonightShowWithBTS to rally support online. A petition requesting an extended cut of the episode with exclusive footage has already surpassed 500,000 signatures in under 48 hours. And as for Jimmy, he's all for it. They brought something to the show that night that you can't script, he said. It was joy, nostalgia, laughter, and something deeper. Something that reminded us all why BTS isn't just a band. They're a phenomenon with heart. With whispers of a possible BTS Week 2.0 in the works and Jin and J-Hope hinting at joint projects in Japan and the US, this reunion may be only the beginning. So what happens when two global superstars walk into a talk show studio and remind everyone of their humanity? They don't just steal the show. They leave a piece of themselves behind and make us all feel a little more connected. As the days passed following their appearance on The Tonight Show, social media platforms exploded with theories, heartfelt messages, and emotional tributes. Clips from the episode and rare backstage snippets began circulating rapidly across X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, many showing Jin and J-Hope in moments of unfiltered emotion, deep belly laughs, and quiet, reflective silence. A particularly viral moment was when Jimmy Fallon asked Jin a spontaneous question during a commercial break. "What do you miss the most about being just Kim Seokjin, the person?" Jin, without hesitation, replied with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, "I miss being able to walk into a restaurant without people holding their breath." The room fell silent, even the production crew pausing. That one line, captured by a lucky audience member and shared online, sparked a wave of emotional responses from fans around the world. One comment read, "Jin doesn't want our applause. He just wants peace. That breaks me." Another user added, "We love you not for the fame, but because of your soul, Seokjin." Meanwhile, J-Hope's transformation drew praise and awe. His new image, more minimalist yet emotionally raw, resonated with fans who had followed his journey from the energetic heart of BTS to a more mature, introspective artist. When he performed a brief freestyle verse backstage, laced with lyrics about searching for colors in grayscale days, even Jimmy was stunned. "It wasn't even planned," Jimmy revealed later. "He just started flowing. And I swear, no beat, no script, just him. I looked around, and half the room had tears in their eyes." The deeper question fans began to ask was, is something brewing? Whispers have begun swirling, whispers of a Jin and J-Hope unit project. Fallon himself, when asked by Rolling Stone in a follow-up interview, smirked and said cryptically, "Let's just say if they ever decided to do something together, musically or otherwise, I'd clear a whole week on my show." And now, the rumor mill is churning. Insiders close to HYB have remained tight-lipped, but fans noticed that after the show, Jin and J-Hope both followed a prominent Japanese producer on Instagram, someone known for working with both K-pop and indie artists. Speculation grew that this could be connected to an upcoming Japan-based project, hinted at briefly in Korean media reports. But for many, it wasn't the potential project or even the emotional honesty that lingered the most. It was the chemistry. Their interaction wasn't rehearsed, wasn't scripted. It felt like two brothers who had traveled through storms, finally sitting in a safe harbor. Jimmy Fallon simply facilitated the moment, and then stepped back to let the magic happen. "There was a scene after the show where the three of us just sat in silence," Jimmy said in a special podcast episode. "We weren't filming, no one was watching, just sitting there. And you know what? That silence said more than any interview ever could." The impact continues to ripple. Streaming platforms have seen a resurgence in Jin's The Astronaut and J-Hope's Arson and more, with fans revisiting their solo work through a new lens, one of appreciation, nostalgia, and a deeper emotional understanding. Several think pieces have been published, dissecting the emotional complexity of their appearance, especially how much of it was about reclaiming their narrative post-military. Critics have also praised The Tonight Show for allowing a space that wasn't rushed, gimmicky, or focused solely on virality, but one that gave two artists the time and safety to simply be themselves. One review titled, "Not Just Guests, Jin and J-Hope Show What True Artists Look Like," called their visit a masterclass in sincerity during an age of spectacle. So what's next? Jin is rumored to be in talks with a major streaming platform for a docu-series on his post-military life and artistic evolution. J-Hope, meanwhile, has teased, subtly via Morse code in a social media post, a project set to drop later this year, possibly with international collaborations. But perhaps the biggest question remains unanswered. Will we see Jin and J-Hope return to The Tonight Show together, not as soloists, not as BTS members, but as a duo reborn through experience, resilience, and heart? Jimmy Fallon certainly hopes so. If they walk back into the studio again, Jimmy says, "I'll clear the stage, roll out the red carpet, and hand them the mic. Because the world needs to hear what they have to say, not just in songs, but in soul." In the weeks following the iconic Tonight Show appearance, global media could not stop talking about what had just transpired. What was meant to be a nostalgic reunion turned into an unanticipated emotional reckoning, not just for Jin and J-Hope, but for the millions who have followed BTS since their debut in 2013. The sheer rawness of their conversation with Jimmy Fallon peeled back the glitz and glamour, revealing the human heart beating beneath global superstardom. Jimmy Fallon, clearly moved by the episode's success, uploaded a behind-the-scenes vlog titled "The Night I Cried with BTS." In it, he revealed that after the show, Jin and J-Hope stayed at the NBC studio long into the night, walking the empty corridors of the building, reminiscing about their last visit in 2018 with the full group. Cameras captured only short fragments, laughter echoing in a dark hallway, J-Hope leaning against a wall deep in thought, Jin holding a soda can and humming quietly to himself. The final 30 seconds of the vlog left fans speechless. As Jin and J-Hope stood in the green room, they were asked one last question by Jimmy's crew. If you could say something to each other 5 years ago, what would it be? Jin, silent for a moment, looked at J-Hope with moist eyes and said, "Don't carry it all alone. I'm always beside you, even when I'm quiet." J-Hope didn't answer at first. He simply stepped forward and hugged Jin tightly. And then he whispered into the mic, "I always knew. I just didn't want you to know I was struggling too." That exchange, once again, sent the fandom into an emotional storm. Posts titled "The Hug That Healed Us All," Jin and J-Hope's silent understanding, and "Why That Moment Will Go Down in ARMY History" trended for days. Fan edits flooded YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok, some with old clips of them joking during BTS variety shows, juxtaposed against the quieter, more grounded versions of themselves now. Meanwhile, theories about a collaborative track only intensified. On June 20th, the Korean news outlet Dispatch posted a cryptic headline: Jin, J-Hope, and Fallon in secret studio session? NYC producers spotted too. Though neither HYB nor NBC confirmed the report, Fallon added fuel to the fire by posting an image on Instagram stories of a recording booth with 2 silhouettes and a caption, "Can't wait for you all to hear this." And that's when ARMY turned their attention to the possibility of a Fallon x Jin x J-Hope collaboration project, perhaps a live album, a podcast, or even a special docu performance on NBC itself. While nothing has been officially confirmed, industry insiders claim that multiple conversations are ongoing and Fallon is personally involved. But for many fans, it's not about what's next, it's about what this moment represents. After all the years of pressure, touring, military service, expectations, and scrutiny, here were 2 men, no longer boys, who stood up and showed the world their scars, their bond, and their evolution. They were not hiding behind choreography. They were not performing a pre-written script. They were simply present. And as Jimmy Fallon remarked in a later interview on The Late Late Show with Stephen Colbert, "You know, I've had presidents, pop stars, and legends on my show. But that night with Jin and J-Hope, that was something else. That was truth on national television." So what happens now?